Hello guys, what's going on? This is Negacious. Welcome back to Katawa Shoujo. In the last episode, we talked to Emi, we talked to Nomiya, and we kind of established that that Rin is going to be away from school and she's going to be working on the exhibition project with Sai on Miss Sayonji's gallery. That'll be exhibited later on, and where Rin is currently working in the atelier, and we are now just making our way to see her. So let's get going. Also, I mentioned last episode that we're gonna be kind of getting to the feels part of this route soon. I feel like they're setting it up really well, so I can't wait to see like what's awaiting us or what's going to be awaiting for us in a couple episodes. The next day, I take the bus into the city. It goes twice an hour, starting in the morning, passing by the front gate of Yamaku at 20 minutes past and 10 to the hour. The ride takes considerably longer than the one Nomiya gave us in his car. I slowly read a book as the bus makes its rounds through the suburbs, pausing at almost every stop to pick up someone or let them out. Eventually, we make it into the last stop at the city center. The city is fair-sized, but not too large, and seems too quiet. Nevertheless, I enjoy the atmosphere. Despite being slightly directionally challenged, damn, that's a doozy, I find myself from the bus station to the gallery without too much effort, and soon I find myself staring at the big letters saying 22nd corner. Ding ding. Inside, the gallery owner is intently studying a large painting hanging on the wall, a portrait of an old man. Good afternoon. She turns around to look at me, and a smile of recognition spreads on her lips. Oh, aren't you the young man from the other day, Shinichi's student? Hisao, was it? That's right. Good afternoon, Mrs. Sayonji. Please, just sigh. I don't want to feel any older than I am. You know, I'm so glad that even young people show interest in art nowadays. It's so refreshing. What brings you here? Surely you aren't just on a courtesy visit, all the way from your school. I actually came for Rin. I was hoping to see how she's doing. Oh, is that right? Well then, you need to step back outside. You see, the atelier is actually at the next door on the right down the street. And up the stairwell. Just climb the stairs to the top floor. There's only one door there. You can't miss it. I give Sai my thanks, exit the gallery, and locate the door she was talking about. Wait, isn't this the mirrored, isn't this like the mirrored stairwell to the roof from Yamaku? I think it is, actually. It leads to a dark stairwell, which reminds me of the stairs leading to... Well, there you go. Which reminds me of the stairs leading to the roof of the school building. The stairs are steep, and even though it's only 5 floors, my breathing gets heavy before I reach the top. An unassuming wooden door waits for me there. It's unlocked, so I knock and enter. Damn. The atelier is really just one big room, with the ceiling lower at one end than the other, because the roof of the building is gabled. There's a huge skylight in the ceiling that acts as the main source of light for the room, bringing in sunlight that reflects off the white painted walls. I suppose it's good to use natural light for art. There isn't much in the way of interior decoration. No surprise, since the room seems to have been used as a storage for a while. All kinds of boxes and office furniture are scattered around the place. The room is dusty since it's not been in use for a while. I can see that someone has made some effort to clean up a little, though it's far from immaculate. Rin stands in the middle of the room with her back to me, staring at a half-painted canvas placed on an easel. not working on it, just staring, unmoving. She wears what must be a second or third-hand denim overalls over the standard school uniform shirt, much like the one I'm wearing. They look pretty worn and are covered in paint splatters. From the way they seem to be loose or tight in places, I'm guessing that they weren't originally Rin's. Hi. Hello. Rin doesn't judge my showing up as worthy of turning around, saying maybe something more than just a mechanical reply to my greeting, smiling, anything. She keeps on doing whatever it is she's doing, probably some weird creative thing inside her head. Perhaps I should have expected as much. Still, I make another attempt at conversation. This is a pretty big cool place. Big too. It is. Saya said I can use this as much as I like. I even have my own key. So, how's the work going? She doesn't answer for a while. I begin to wonder if she's already forgotten the question. As a cloud drifts over the building, shadowing the light pouring in from the skylight, the change in Rin's surroundings seems to wake her up. I don't know. It's like a huge ball. I don't know which side's the right one. It's really huge. It's the hugest thing ever. Like a mountain growing inside of me. Like I swallowed a mountain whole. It's going to be hard, I think. Really very hard. I try to listen for undercurrents of stress or uncertainty in her voice, but I don't pick up anything like that. Why are you here? Her tone is not as unkind as the directness of the question would make it seem. Well, you said that it'd be fine if I came to visit, so here I am. I guess it's not for any real reason, but I thought you might like company or assistance or maybe some... Hisao, can you be quiet for about 15 minutes? Maybe 10 is enough. 5 is definitely not. You can talk afterwards. Her tone is sharp. Nothing like I've ever heard from her before. There's no command, no annoyance, no anger. But her voice pierces me all the same. All right? With the silence that falls, anxiety creeps back into my heart. I wonder if it was a mistake to come here. Murmurs of traffic filter in from outside, and I start to feel more and more uncomfortable. All my thoughts keep finding themselves returning to certain things that have been swirling relentlessly in the back of my mind for some time now. I feel like those thoughts will surface out of the tempestuous sea of my mind, whether I want it or not. Desperate to divert my focus, I fixate on Rin's back as my mind races. I don't think I've ever studied anyone's back so intently before. Her neck, hidden by copper-colored hair, which is, again, in complete disarray. That relaxed yet rigid posture, reminding me that Rin's physical appearance often tends to be as awkward as her various trains of thought. Those gaunt, delicate shoulder blades, visible through the thin white fabric on her shirt. The contours of her hips curving down to her thin thighs. It pisses me off. Rarely does she ever seem to be looking at me, whether literally or figuratively. I, on the other hand, am always watching her back, both literally and figuratively. Whenever she's painting, whenever something catches her fluttery attention, whenever I don't forcefully make her listen to me, I can't reach through to her. Rin's heart is uncharted territory, dangerous waters, the blank areas of a map. The edge of the world? If I went too close, I wonder if I would fall off. What do I think of her? Sometimes she's aloof and distant, and it annoys me. At other times her passion of the things she thinks worthwhile shines through, and it inspires me. I can't understand her. Still, I like her, and consider her my friend. I suppose part of friendship is putting up with the oddities of the people you call friends. I have to admit, there's a lot of putting up with Rin. What does she think of me? I have no idea. Last week, I thought she might have liked me romantically, what with the kiss and all. It forced me to ponder my own feelings too. This week, I'm utterly confused. What would she do if I told her I liked her that way? I wonder if I really do. Damn, I can't make sense of even my own thoughts anymore. It must be contagious. Even if I said a thing like that, would it matter? Nothing affects Rin. Nothing. I'm done. I find her turned around, now staring straight at me. It unnerves me. I try to remember what we, or rather I, were talking about before she requested a timeout. Oh, right. I just came to... I don't know. You still can't finish your sentences? It's not that. Fine. She retreats from the conversation, slipping away from me once again. She doesn't return to painting, but instead keeps looking at me with that empty poker face of hers. I want to talk about some stuff. I've thought a lot about things. What things? Like what happened last week and so on. What happened? I get the feeling she's playing with me. Why? I have no clue. It's not a game she's playing with my head. I'm pretty sure she doesn't deliberately try to screw with people. Maybe it's just my own mind playing tricks on itself. Still, Rin feels like a puzzle in the form of a girl. I feel attracted to it, compelled to solve it, the overly rational part of my brain refusing to let me give up. I can't leave her alone. I never would have believed I could be this obsessive about something. Why do I hesitate so much and keep running in circles around her? I don't have to do that. I already decided what I want to say. Rin. Saying her name with an intention like this makes my mouth dry, as if my subconscious is fighting against what I'm going to say next. I feel like I'm going to lock up at any moment now. Rin looks up from her paint-covered toes and stops wriggling them, as there isn't anyone to observe them curiously now. The hard stare of her dark green eyes seems like a portent. I like you. The lack of any reaction is like a slap to the face. So, I mean, I'd like to like you as more than a friend. What is more? The slow, hesitant words coming from between her strawberry-colored lips are not the ones I was waiting for. Neither of the two possible answers that I'd been expecting, actually. I feel myself blushing heavily, as is par for the course of this kind of situation. My heartbeat sounds like a percussion orchestra on drugs. Rin's innocent inquiry feels like I'm being grilled over hot coals. You know, like romantically and... No? No. Rin turns around, giving me the cold shoulder as she returns to looking at her painting. She makes a move to pick up her brush, which lies forgotten on the floor, but decides against it at the last moment. I can't talk about that kind of thing now. So, don't talk about that kind of thing. Please. We're friends, right? So you can do that. The silence of those words leave behind is deafening. I want to say something, but my mouth refuses to move. There's no way I can retain my dignity. Rin finally picks up the brush without giving any explanation for her behavior. Maybe there was something in her voice that gave away some emotion, but I couldn't say what. Her shoulders slump melancholically as her foot works the canvas in front of her. She won't let me see her face, and I know it. Feeling the weight of my heart grow wearier, I stand up to leave, for I can't stay here any longer today. It's like I've opened Pandora's box by stepping over some line that Rin didn't want me to cross, and she had to turn me down. I walk across the squeaky floor to the door leading to the stairwell. Rin's quiet voice stops me in my tracks as I'm about to open the door. Hisao! My hand, still on the brass doorknob, is waiting for me to turn it or to withdraw. Yeah? Will you come tomorrow? Yeah. Wow! I don't know if I should keep going or not. I'm gonna keep going. After a night of bad sleep, I go through the day mostly on automatic. I put on my uniform melancholically, do my schoolwork mechanically, eat my lunch mechanically, reply to teachers mechanically, and thus when the final bell rings, I still feel as if I had just woken up. My mind feels blank and overcrowded at the same time, and I can't even begin to unravel the tangle of feelings I've gotten myself into. I spent the bus trip downtown staring out of the window, thinking about these things. As a result, by the time I climb the stairs to the atelier 4 floors above Saya's gallery, I'm feeling completely exhausted. Expecting awkwardness, I quietly knock on the door before entering. I spot Rin at the center of the small, clear area of the room, working on a painting. She doesn't acknowledge my arrival in any way. Hi, I came, as promised. Rin snaps her head to my direction immediately. Was she waiting for me to say something? And locks that cold green gaze of hers on me. Although I'm sure my own face can't hide my feelings, Rin's expression is as expectant and neutral as always. The clouded, slightly absent-minded darkness in her eyes is like a wall standing between me and her. It is the first awkward silence between us that's truly awkward. Yesterday, both of us said something we couldn't take back, and there's no way it can be undone. I want to say something, but Rin forbade me from doing so. I can't even begin to guess what she's thinking, but I'm feeling the pressure of her lightless eyes on me, compelling me to break the silence without saying the thing I most want to say. To my horror, I find that I can't find any way to start a conversation. It's as if I've completely lost the ability to speak with her. Just keep working if you're in the middle of something. I'll just sit down here. Rin nods wordlessly at me and picks up the brush from the floor with her toes of the right foot. I sink into the worn-out sofa, picking up a book from my bag and opening it to where I stopped last night. I can't really concentrate on it, but it's better than doing nothing. The two of us are so close to each other, together in the same room even, and yet we're both doing our own thing as if we're miles apart. I can't help but wonder about this unnatural situation. Why did I come here? Because she asked me to do so yesterday, of course. However, it looks like there's absolutely no need for me to actually be here. It makes me feel awkward at first, but as I recall the previous silences I've quietly passed with Rin, I settle down and try to tune into that same comfortable mood I was in back then. Time stretches, then slows down. The pages of my book rustle each time I turn them. Maybe after half an hour or 1 hour at most, Rin breaks the silence, to my complete surprise. Hisao! Yeah? Are you my friend? It's an echo of yesterday. I know it. So, even Rin couldn't couldn't just push it aside from her mind. Caught off guard, I answer honestly. I don't... Yeah, of course I am. Don't worry about that stuff like that. Come on. Okay. She doesn't say anything further. I feel happy somehow. Several chapters later, I mark my spot, close the book, and put it away in my bag. Getting up from the sofa, I see that Rin's made considerable progress on her painting. I take a look at it for a bit. It's still not quite finished, I suppose. It looks great. It's bad luck to comment on unfinished paintings. After that, I quietly leave the studio and catch the bus, taking me back to school. That's actually two quick breaks in succession, or like that midway jingle. Life settled into some sort of vague, undefined norm. I visit Rin whenever I can, but each time is as strange as the first. They consist mainly of me watching Rin at work, or just reading a book on the couch while she works. We barely talk at all. Long, quiet evenings stretch over the last weeks of June. I sit on the couch in the atelier, listening to the quiet rustle of Rin's brush and my own heartbeat, trying to make sense of the former and forget about the latter. I am a silent visitor in this place. A ghost. Ghost, not goat. At some point, I start thinking that my presence is meaningful to Rin somehow, but never end up asking her about it. I don't bring up the forbidden topic anymore either, and try to stop thinking about it altogether. It's hard to do so, and doesn't get any easier with the passage of time. My heart aches every time I look at the awkward figure of the girl I decided I liked, yet who refuses to acknowledge it. I still can't seem to find the right words to talk to her about anything at all, but I find her quite solace in observing her from nearby. The distance between us doesn't feel that huge when I can be close to her, even if it's like this. Rin works like a demon. There's barely a moment when she's without a brush between her toes, or not walking in circles around her current work in progress, estimating it from every angle and distance. Just looking at the backside of the painting like, this canvas is kinda bad. I can actually totally see it in doing that as well. She seems to be completely taken over by her will to work, to change herself into the sort of artist she believes would be worthy of the trust Nomiya and Sae have placed in her. Piles of sketches, works in progress, tubes of oil paint and brushes slowly begin to crowd the small atelier, making it even messier than it was before Rin acquired the right to use it. I offer to help her clean up every now and then, but each time she refuses. It dawns on me that in her mind, the room is not in utter chaos. Rather, her system of keeping track of everything is so elaborate only Rin herself can make sense of it. She knows exactly where everything is, from the tiniest brush to that half-empty tube of crimson that's the perfect shade for some picture in progress. Rin walks from one painting to another, looking at them as if not remembering that she made them. She talks to herself, or to the paintings, even when I'm present, always just quietly enough so that I can't make out the words. Every day, Rin pours herself onto the canvas for hours on end, squeezing every bit of her ability, and even her soul, to make good on that promise she made to me, or herself. Black marks appear beneath her eyes, a sure sign that she's skipping sleep in favor of painting. I'm somewhat surprised to see her at school a few times. I never go and say hello though, as I somehow feel it would break the silent magic of the evenings we share at the atelier. Sometimes Sae comes by when I'm there. She gives me a certain kind of look when she shows up. I think she doesn't like that I'm always hanging out with Rin up here, but she never says a word about it. She isn't quite full of praise for Rin's work as Nomiya, but is visibly impressed nonetheless. However, when she turns her eyes from the wonderful works of art to look upon the little red-headed girl that made them, a sudden, deep sadness floats onto the surface of her expression. I wonder what's up with that. I can't explain it, and she never really talks about it. June turns into July almost without warning. End-of-term exams loom dangerously close, but all I can think of is Rin. I feel like a sleepwalker at school, looking forward only to the next time I get to visit that silent place above Sae's gallery. After Rin refuses my attempts at directly helping with her work, I try to figure out other ways to help her. It finally dawns on me that she isn't eating properly. My course of action decided, I stop at the convenience store before going to catch the bus downtown on my next visit to the studio. I feel very energetic as I open the door to the atelier and greet Rin. I brought you some fruit. You need vitamins and actual food after all. Do you even eat up here? I do eat. If I didn't eat, I couldn't paint. Then why don't you eat a couple of these? I shake the bag full of ripe oranges in my hand and employ to tempt Rin into taking a break. To my surprise, she actually lays her brush down and walks over to me to see what I'd brought. Her expression doesn't change at all when she looks into the bag. I can't eat oranges, Hisao. It does not work very well with my feet. That's alright, I'll do it. Of course I knew that. She told me herself after all. I extract the tiny fruit knife I had with me and select one of the round fruits. After making the initial cut, I begin to peel it with my fingers. The strong scent of cut orange rind, there we go, immediately fills the air as thousands of tiny droplets of oil burst from the skin. I remove the first section of the hard peel and shoot a glance at Rin. So, how's the work going? I don't know. It's like I'm in the center of some huge mountain of jelly and have to dig my way out. Must be stressful. I think it might be. Even though it's just painting, all this, everything feels really strange. I wonder if Rin is the kind of person who likes to carefully remove all the white fibrous stuff from oranges before eating them, or the more careless type who just eats them as they come. Maybe neither. I don't mind like that. The white fibers like on top of oranges. Although I think like it's kind of not disgusting, but kind of weird if people like peel it off. I'm the former type, so I meticulously clean the orange slices one by one while Rin watches the process with mild curiosity. I realize that I don't have the faintest idea about her likes or dislikes or any of the other little details that make up the concept of a person for those around them. It's like in all this time, I haven't learned much about her at all. Once I've finished lamenting that fact, I realize I've cleaned the entire orange and nearly split it to pieces. I hold a slice up, bringing it closer to Rin so she can pick it up. Here. Oh. Oh, come on. That's sweet. She takes it directly between her lips and then into her mouth, whole. Her lower lip briefly brushes against my fingertip. Rin chews the slice carefully, savoring it as much as possible. Din, 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 din. I become fixated on the movements of her jaw, the trickle of juice glistering on her lip, the way her throat moves when she swallows the orange slice. After I realize what I'm doing, I turn away, feeling embarrassed about watching her so intently. It's not the same as it usually is. The orange? Painting. Oh, well, is anything like that ever the same? It is, sometimes, I think. I don't know what though. I might be starting to paint differently soon, if this goes on. Well, wouldn't that just be the change you keep talking about? She thinks about it, blinking her eyes a few times nervously. For a moment, absolutely nothing happens, as if time itself did a double take. We stare at each other in silence, that only faint, tangible scent of orange floating between us and the muffled sounds of traffic in the background. Then I pick up another slice and hold it to her. She takes it from me with her mouth, just like the first one. I didn't think it would be like this. Well, keep on going and see what happens. It's not like you can do anything else. Yeah, it's the only thing I can do. After that, she says nothing more. In the ensuing silence, I feed her in the rest of the orange, one slice at a time. Then I peel another for her, which she eats as well. The third I eat myself, and the rest are left in a plastic bag, which I put on a small desk next to the couch. She stands up and returns to her painting, with a strange look in her eyes that I haven't seen before. Like most of her expressions, it's completely unreadable. Even if I asked, she wouldn't explain what it means. Din 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 din. Well, now I can't stop because, god dang it, this is gonna be another longer episode. Oh. Okay. Some days later, I spot Rin and Sai standing together in front of the gallery as I walk down the street towards the gallery. I kinda would have wanted to stop there, but whatever. Also, well, I mean, yeah, she's smoking. They seem to be talking to each other while Sai has a smoke. Good afternoon. I say this even though it's not really afternoon anymore. I came a bit later than usual since I got caught up doing homework. It's going to be dark soon. Hello there, Hisao. Came to visit the little kitten again? Rin makes a face at the nickname. I guess she doesn't like it. Ironic. What the? Ironically, the way she wrinkles her nose like that does really make her look a little bit like a cat. Hello. Sai turns back to Rin to continue the conversation they were having. So in other words, everything's going well enough. Rin makes a difficult expression and turns her face away from me for some reason. It's difficult. It's like I'm missing something, but I'll do it. Work hard and you'll be fine. I'm going to have to start working on my part of the preparations. I need to do the sales catalog, invitations, decorations, advertisement and so on. I need the names for your works, and we also need to think up the general theme for the exhibition. They don't have anything like that. I'm not very good with words, so I don't use them. If I cannot use them, I mean, sometimes I have to, but I think this is not the time. Wait, what? But I think this is not a time like that at all. You don't like naming your works? I don't like it. Well, I guess it's hard to come up with a good name for something like this. Rin shakes her head vehemently. It's not like that. It's like if I paint a cloud and call it an octopus, people will think about it differently. If I paint a cloud and I call it the end of the world. True. Every name is wrong. Nothing ever explains what I feel like when I make a painting. It's not a word thing. The only thing that would come up with new words for everything, but would it help at all? No, I don't think so. Then the paintings would just go with unnamed number 1 and so on. It's a bit inconvenient, but... That's no good. Unnamed means that you didn't just come up with a good name. And unnamed is a name, like that Greek guy with the sheep and all. Wait, was there that kind of guy in Greek? Unnamed. Or unnamed. I don't know. Sae thinks about this for a while, furrowing her brow as she keeps looking at Rin's serious face. So you're saying your artwork should be completely without labels? I think that's what I'm saying. I think that's what I'm saying. Sae lets out a dry laugh, the kind old ladies who smoke too much always seem to end up with. Let's hope your art will never end up in a museum. The curators would explode. She takes a contemplative puff of her cigarette, which has worn down to not much more than the butt. Then she drops it into an ashtray affixed to the wall next to the door. Then again, it could work. What do you mean? This namelessness, this rejection of labels, it works. It's a good unifying theme, and some people can grasp onto easily. Allows for a lot of room for interpretation. It gives a good impression. Think about it. All sorts of associations can be made, starting from identity and self-definition, all the way to whatever you want to think about it. We could call your exhibition Nameless and build it on that theme. How does that sound? Rin thinks about this for a while. I'm not sure how Sae managed to get so fired up by Rin's reluctance to apply names to her works. I guess that's her job. It feels like she might be extrapolating a little too much, but it's a pretty impressive sounding idea. I don't think it's a bad idea. For what it's worth, I have to say it sounds pretty good to me too. Sae reaches into her pocket for another cigarette, lighting it with a neon green butane lighter. Her forehead wrinkles as she rubs it as she appears to be furiously think. God dang it. Her forehead wrinkles and she rubs it as she appears to furiously think more on this idea. She doesn't say a word for a little bit, but every now and then she takes a sharp drag from the cigarette. Yes, I think this would work out pretty nicely. I'm going to take this as the starting point and work from there. I'm going to aim to work on this. You go back upstairs and try to find your missing ingredient. I'm sure it'll come to you sooner or later. Rin doesn't reply, so Sae takes one last long pull from her cigarette and drops it in the tray to join others of its kind. The gallery owner turns to head back inside, but is stopped by Rin just as she reaches for the door handle. Sae! What is it, kitten? Whoa, Rin! Wait, isn't Rin under age? Or wait, they're in the last year of... Or no, they're 18, so okay, yeah, it's good. I was like, wait, can you even smoke? Can I have some cigarettes? She looks at Rin incredulously, clearly not having expected such a direct request. Not that I did either. Don't tell your teacher. She stuffs the packet in Rin's pocket along with the neon green lighter. What the fuck, Sayonji? Jesus. The day's already folding into dusk when we climb up the dark stairs leading up to what is now basically Rin's atelier. As we go inside, Rin doesn't seem to be able to settle down. She keeps pacing around the room like a caged animal, looking through the skylight at the burgundy-colored dusk. I'm sorry. The last light of the sun's advance across the sky reflects from the clouds floating over the town, filling every corner of the atelier with blazing orange light. So, painting is going well? She blinks, then relaxes her muscles. I didn't even realize how tensed up she was until now. Not really. I haven't painted in 3 days. I'm going in squares. Circles. If you say so. I tried doing things a bit differently, but it doesn't work. And now the old way doesn't work either. I need something more. It's not enough like this. Rin's response gives me a pause, since, as usual, I can't exactly understand what she means. Although really, I shouldn't have expected anything else. She either says nothing at all, or too much. Trying to comprehend and follow her train of thought feels like wading through the jungles of Borneo equipped with a wooden spoon and a map of Hokkaido. Lol. Well, that's some one-man army shit. It's annoying how her thoughts are both laid out in plain sight and hidden from view every time she opens her mouth. What more? You said that to Sai as well. A missing ingredient? What? I think I have to destroy myself. Okay, that sounds unnecessarily grim. What do you mean? Rin's shoulders slump, and she turns to face me directly. I have to change. I've tried, but this is not enough yet. I have to destroy myself first, I think. Wait, are we talking about, like, what kind of destruction here? Just to be clear, you are speaking metaphorically, right? Like learning to paint from a scratch again, or whatever, so to speak. She shrugs her shoulders as if there's no difference. There's no difference. So, you're going to start by smoking a cigarette? For inspiration? Maybe. I've never tried this before. Have you? No, can't say I have. Still, I'm not really sure if having a smoke is the best starting point. She responds to my words with another nonchalant shrug. I open the cigarette pack and look inside. It's almost full. Smoking is bad for you, but that's the idea here, I guess. Yes, I need to do something. I want to paint. I need something more. So, okay, fine. What's after smoking a cigarette then? How do you intend to destroy yourself? Rin thinks for a split second, averting her gaze like she does when she doesn't want to get distracted. I don't know yet. I'll decide later. Rin bends down to pick out a cigarette from the end. She raises her head with one between her lips and turns to me, eyebrows curved into 2 arcs, challenging me to respond. With a sigh of resignation, I pick up the lighter and raise it to meet the cigarette. I can feel Rin's warm breath against my quivering hand. The flame flickers to life on the 3rd strike of the flint, and I try to aim the dancing fire at the end of the cigarette. An amber-colored glow spreads into the wrapping paper and tobacco as Rin inhales the first smoke. It seems to relax her significantly. I haven't actually smoked myself, so, I haven't even tried. So it's kind of weird to, because I feel like that the feeling would be easier to understand had I, tried smoking. To my surprise, she doesn't cough, despite telling me that she's a first-timer. Well, yeah, I do know that people cough if they, inhale too much smoke. Rin seems to remember that it's hard to blow the smoke out without spitting the cigarette out as well. And she quickly sits down on her foot on the floor, bringing her foot to her lips like a circus contortionist, and expertly picks the filter between 2 toes. I get down on the floor as well, as we both lie down almost simultaneously while Rin blows a steady stream of smoke towards the dim sky beyond the glass of skylight, looking after it thoughtfully. The thin haze of steely blue smoke slithers towards the ceiling fish like towards the ceiling in fish-like movements. I also like how there's like little smoke effects there. It billows in the stagnant air of the atelier, twisting and turning around its own immaterial body until it dissipates in thin air. What's the word for smoke that looks like that? There's no word for that. We should maybe come up with one. Maybe. Rin takes out a quick, experimental drag. It's not very tasty. Feels like inhaling the dust lying on top of a forgotten book about the memories of a dead kingdom. Do you want to try? My hesitation unintentionally surfaces again, making me freeze in the face of a rather trivial and commonplace challenge. Rin's ability to take everything so coolly is something I'm a bit jealous of. Alright. This scene actually has like a lot more meaning than just the two of them like trying out smoking. And that's why I like this route as well, but I'm not gonna go too deep into it yet. Taking it from her, I have a drag on it, fighting against the sudden choking feeling in my lungs as they fill with smoke. To my embarrassment, I fail, wheezing and hacking my lungs out. I feel flustered, but maybe I haven't lost too much faith in Rin's eyes. It's less unpleasant on the second try, but I still pass the cigarette back to Rin. We're like a pair of budding delinquents in middle school, sneaking their first smoke out of sight of their teachers and parents. Well, I suppose it's not like, that's exactly what we are. After a while, the cigarette has shrunk most of its way down to the filter. Rin is still looking quietly out of the skylight. With her looking out there, the silence inside the atelier seems to deepen even more. Are there cogs of creativity turning behind those eyes right now? Do another one. I mechanically pick up another cigarette, light it, and place it on Rin's lips. She takes a few quick puffs and moves it awkwardly around with her lips. Paragraph. Not understanding her garbled words, I glance over at Rin. It looks like she's having trouble with the cigarette. I pick up the cigarette from her lips and place it on mine, abandoning common sense and good reason while I do so. The first one should have been enough for me, but I take another drag, still coughing a little at the unpleasant sensation of smoke invading my respiratory organs. I remember doing something like this before. So you have smoked? Doesn't look like it though. Nah, lying on my back and looking at the sky with you. The first time when we... it is cool! Oh. The sky on the other side of the glass is slowly glowing darker. It's unreachably high, even if the shimmering smoke seems to make it closer. I return the cigarette back to Rin's mouth. It feels bad somehow. The space between us, less than an arm's reach, is still there. It's the distance between us, the immeasurably wide chasm of thoughts and feelings that separates us with graver certainty than even light years of physical distance could. By saying the right words, there might be a way to make the chasm narrower, even if it's just a little. I tried to cross that gap with one big step, but Rin turned me back. I glanced at her out of the corner of my eye. Rin staring upward towards the smoke-filled ceiling and the skylight at the darkening sky above us. It's almost like she's sleeping even though I know she isn't. Her eyes are open, as is her mouth. I take the cigarette from Rin before it falls on her cheek. She doesn't react to my touch in any way. So, this is where we are now. I wonder if we can ever be closer than this. I take a drag of the cigarette and blow a thin stream of smoke upwards. These indirect kisses are the only things that connect us right now. The taste of Rin's lips on the filter, mixed with the ashen taste of the smoke. Her soft lips against my fingers as I pressed the cigarette on her mouth, as if she was placing kisses on them. The ash softly falling on the floor between us like snow. As the second cigarette is being finished off, I'm already lighting the third one. The only thing breaking the stillness of the atelier is the inaudible sound of smoke, floating towards the first stars blinking overhead. Light nausea hits me by the fourth or fifth cigarette. Before long, the shape of the waxing moon appears in the skylight, shedding her wan light down on us. It'll be a full moon in a few days. It'd be nice to be able to fly. I flinched after realizing it was my own voice that gave birth to that remark. The bastard child of the almost inebriating smoke of tiredness. And tiredness. You can't? You can? Sometimes I feel like it. Like I can do anything. I wish I felt like that too sometimes. I wonder if she hears the bitterness seeping into my words. The vicious cycle of unrequited feelings is poisoning me, even now. I try to push the grim thoughts aside. My efforts meet with little success as my mind keeps swirling around what-ifs and if-onlys. Watching the moon slowly creeping higher, I realize that a long time has passed since I came here. It sobers me somewhat, but also reminds me of the sad status quo we're in now. It's late. I'd better get going back to school. I stand up to leave, but Rin doesn't show any sign of rising from the floor. She lies inanimate, as though all life had been sapped from her. Little wisps of smoke float around her, memories of the cigarettes we shared. I grasp her by the short and thin arm and try to pull her up. To my surprise, she complies and stands up with some help from me. I notice how little Rin weighs, as if she were made of feathers. Are you going to stay here overnight? I have to. I haven't painted much in 3 days. I have to find out how I can start painting. Maybe the smoke helps. Just take a break? That's no good. I have to do it. If I can't paint anymore, I will be destroyed for real. Maybe you're just burned out. You've been working pretty hard. That would be bad. I wonder if this is it for me. I want to see how far I can go. Maybe this is it. The end. You just have artist's block. It's no big deal. That's the word for when you can't paint, right? I've had that before. Never like this, though. I pick up a brush, then I don't want to put it down right away. And then I do. 3 days. It's like I've forgotten how to paint. I didn't think that was possible. Like, more impossible than Emmy growing wings and a tail. You need a break. I mean, I get that you're trying to go deeper inside yourself for your paintings, but it's really not that healthy to stay inside your own head for so long. I glance at the night sky visible through the window. A couple of stars are weakly twinkling above the city. They remind me of something I used to do once upon a time. It feels so horribly long ago. Come on, let's go outside. Where? Just for a walk. I'll show you my secret place. I don't know if it works in this town, but we can try. In any case, you need a break, and probably something to eat. Come on. You need to get your thoughts away from this for a while. When they're troubled, most people escape from their unhappy lives into a world of fantasy. I did that before, and still do today, reading books endlessly, immersing myself in their world rather than my own. Rin's escape should be the other way around, though, out of her inner world and into the real. Rin doesn't look too happy about this, but I ignore her. At least she's somewhat cooperative, walking after me as we head down the stairs, then down the sidewalk. Night has fallen upon the town. It's a gentle summer night, smelling of flowers and hot asphalt. The sunlight is replaced by shining neon colors and bland yellow streetlights. The air is easy to breathe, as if the air pressure was noticeably lighter than usual. The feeling of daytime in the hot summer has lasted into the evening and night. I grab Rin by the sleeve, as I've seen Emmy do, and to my surprise, she obediently follows. The pale street lights fight against the all-enveloping darkness as we walk together, the guide and the guided, although neither knows the destination. But it doesn't matter. This is the one moment where the usual silences have become a ritual between me and Rin, at last fit perfectly. We walk side by side, choosing directions on impulse or inspiration. Sometimes we find ourselves back at a street we'd already seen once or twice. Sometimes we find new streets. All of them look asleep. Rin doesn't ask where we're going. Maybe she doesn't care. Maybe she knows I don't have an answer. The silence of the night isn't scary. After all, the lights drive most of it away. The air grows cooler as the moon progresses along its journey in the cloudless sky. Few cars roam the streets at this hour, and even fewer people are on the sidewalk. The apparent lack of nocturnal life is somehow befitting of this place. There are around-the-clock shops and cafes. Cafes, really? Like legit cafes, or just... I don't know. But the atmosphere is like the town itself is slumbering. A town that sleeps 8 hours a day. I need to keep going. Fuck. This is so fucking interesting. I can't stop. Jesus Christ. Okay, once this section ends, I will end the episode. The city I grew up in, bathed in the electric glow of a million light bulbs, never slept. I have seen it more for myself. It's not the first time I've done this. It happened on one of the first times I was home alone. Both my parents had business trips that neither could cancel, so they deemed me old enough to survive 2 days on my own. Their misplaced trust in me did not go to waste, as I proceeded to spend the entire night out walking around the city. Even afterward, I couldn't say what made me stay downtown longer than I intended after school. I didn't feel like going home, so I stayed through the evening and eventually through the entire night. I walked long, concentric circles around the landmark chosen at random. For some reason, the nighttime city felt fascinating. That's actually true. Like, nighttime and like almost the eerie calmness of like a big city. It can be really captivating. So, I walked its streets. At every intersection it was possible to choose your direction at random, because they all lead nowhere. The aimless wandering made me see things differently. I hope it'll do the same for Rin. We stop to buy some hot coffee and snacks from a vending machine, then locate a bench where we sit down to eat. There's no time in the night of town, so we spend an unknown amount of it just sitting there, observing the stillness of the usually vivid townscape. Still, it's getting very late, and soon it'll be getting very early. So, is this it? Hearing Rin's voice surprises me. She doesn't sound bored. Rather, her tone is inquisitive, uncertain as to why I dragged her out here, yet curious to find out the answer. Yeah, Have you ever been out all night? It's like a different world. That remark sent her thinking for a while, looking around as if she was looking for something. The wisps of light reflecting from the corners of her eyes are suddenly very sharp. It's not a different world. It's the same, just asleep. What do you think this town is dreaming of? Maybe something like car sheep or building sheep? Why are dreams always about sheep? I've never seen a sheep-related dream that I can remember. Two different towns dream of different things. Probably. How could they not? I answer half joking, half spurring her on. For the first time tonight, it seems like a bit of Rin's life has returned to her. She doesn't continue her list of rhetorical questions, though. Instead, she leans back a little and looks up at the moon traveling above the town. The cool breeze blowing between the buildings seems to steal the conversation away before it even really begins. It's too bad. It looked like Rin would get out of her blue mood. I wish I could somehow know the right things to say, but I realize I can't do that the way I am now. I'm too far apart from Rin. I haven't really managed to crack her open. She's just too complicated. It's like she's open to everything, equally disinterested in everything from the outset. In truth, she's locked higher than anyone else I know, even myself. I was going to compare her to Hanako, but if Hanako was a Rubik's Cube, Rin is all the chances of shogi formations put together. Or chess. Depends. Sometimes she locks herself inside that inner world, shutting everything else out. At other times, her thoughts flow freely from her mind, but not organized in any fashion that would make them intelligible to the rest of the world. What comes out in the form of paintings I can't interpret. To me it's just a sea of colors and shapes, not a message. She's too far away. I now know that it was a bad idea to try to reach for her in the way I did, but I can't help liking her. I look at the fingers of my right hand, trying to remember what Rin's lips felt like against them. Do you ever feel like you're trying to reach out for something that's impossible to reach? Rin turns her gaze to me, tilting her head quizzically. I wonder if she understands the meaning of my own rhetorical question or not. Either way, I like how I can just manage to catch her attention just by speaking aloud nowadays. All the time? At least I think so. That's what painting feels like a lot of the time. Or all the time. I don't know. Sometimes I get the feeling I can't really paint what I want. Sometimes it feels like it's just another shadow of me, like a mirror that doesn't work right. Like talking? Maybe. When I was little, I didn't really have friends. Maybe it's the same now. The only things I liked were pens and paints. They were the only things that understood me. Okay, that makes sense. To a certain degree. It depends on how you look at it. Now it feels like that it's going away too. Change is really a scary thing. And that's why she fears change. She fears that she loses the only friend she has. Dude. I wish I could understand you. She looks at me melancholically, roused by my thoughts materializing as words spoken aloud. Me too. Whether she meant she wished for me to understand her to understand me, or her to understand herself, I never ask, nor do I find out. I see her eyes searching for mine. Serious and cryptic as they are, I'm not getting any explanation from there. Don't worry about it. I will. Small hints of a smile are wavering on her lips. When she's like this, it makes me feel that maybe there's still hope for us. We get along so well for being so different. It's just that we never really get along precisely because we are so different. Maybe it was Rin's passionate approach to her own art exhibition, or perhaps my own careless words, but last week was different from usual. The small friction between us seems to be somewhat volatile, but at least we now seem to be back to normal. Relatively speaking. Okay, I feel like that this section is going to end in like a couple of minutes, so I'm going to keep going. We stand up from the bench and pick up yet another direction in which to go. The wee hours of night slowly pass by as we measure the streets of the town, one step at a time. We're finally at ease, not minding the rare, lone passerby, the eerie darkness, each other, ourselves. Rin's step seems lighter, like the heavy air around her is letting go a little. It makes me feel happy. We don't talk, save for the single remarks that are spoken into the night of the town and never answered. The details jump into the eye instead of being the usual blur they are during the day. As the sky above the town changes from deep dark blue to grey, I know that our night is soon ending. It's almost morning. Rin looks up too and nods at me. It's true. The coming light of morning is creeping through the sky, climbing higher by the minute. It feels surreal. The sun won't come up for a while, but I get the feeling that the end of this night really is here and now. Should we head back? Rin nods again, twice, her hair waving in the breeze that seems to be heralding the coming dawn. Abruptly, she takes off, taking the lead in this walkabout on which I'd brought her. It seems she really is in a better mood. This, too, makes me feel happy. Rin's navigational skills are probably not better than mine, but we eventually find ourselves in front of Saya's place. I don't know if this was any help. I did this once before, but it was more because of a stupid impulse or maybe restlessness back then. Maybe this was a silly idea and didn't really help you at all. She just nods as an answer. So, do you know how you're going to destroy yourself now? I have some ideas. I don't want to see you for a while. Don't come and see me. Do something else. Her ultimatum catches me completely off guard. What the hell? What's that about? You said before that you didn't mind. I mind now. It's just for a while. I have to do this alone. I don't like that. Why? I don't want it to go like this. Why? I just don't want to feel this distance between you and me. She tilts her head like a bird, her eyes narrowing a little as she thinks. Then you can touch me. What? What? You can touch me if you want. You'd feel better, right? I don't know. Try. That can be so dirty taken out of context, holy shit. Where do you want me to touch you? No boobs or left ear. Other than that, you can decide. Left ear. Huh. Fine. I raise my hand hesitantly, even though I don't know why I'm actually doing this. Her eyes tell me she's not going to explain. 1,000 thoughts race through my head as I slowly bring my hand closer to Rin's face and press 3 fingers against her pale cheek. Rin feels soft and cold. She closes her eyes in contact and visibly relaxes. I can feel her soft breathing, her muscles releasing tension as my fingertips caress her cheek. She doesn't really rest her head against my palm or anything else you'd expect a girl to do in that sort of situation. In fact, she hasn't reacted at all, save for those now shut eyes. Once I withdraw my hand, she opens them she opens them again. It might be just an illusion created by the timid morning sunlight playing with my eyes, but Rin looks like she's holding back a smile. This is the problem with our relationship. Half the time I have no idea what's going on, and the other half is I just fail to understand why things are going on like they are. As usual, I'm not going to get an explanation. Rin merely takes a step towards the door. See you later. Then she disappears from my reach for an undefined period of time. Katawa Shoujo. Jesus Christ, this is an hour-long episode. Okay. Wow, that was a long episode. That just kept on going. It was really interesting because I can see the premise of the problem that the devs are going for here, and it's going to be really like either heartbreaking or really like it's going to have some freaking tension in there for sure. Because Rin is really interesting, the most interesting character like in the game so far. She's just so random, but she has this kind of like pattern that she follows. Like I guess she has to follow it, like according to the story. But like it's really she's an interesting cookie, I gotta say. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this episode of Katawa Shoujo. If you did enjoy, make sure to drop a comment down below, whether it's casual banter or something a bit more constructive. Make sure to drop it down in the comments. You can also click the like or dislike button depending on what you thought of the video. Or you can even subscribe and click the bell button next to the subscribe button to make sure that you get my videos into your slapbox the moment they come online. My name was Negacious, and I'll see you in my next video.